Can Nerchio hold on to whatever Squirtle's going to try to throw at him?
All right, guys, let's go crazy. Game number 3 about to go underway here at the World Championships.
GSL World Championship.
Players over here in the center right starting location. We got our Zerg player. His ideas.
Acer Nerchio.
And in the center left, a GSL finalist. He is
Squirtle.
And Squirtle already playing a little bit different. He's made his pylon his main, something you don't see on this map as much as some others because the choke is huge. You can't really wall it all the way. You know, is he going to get a gateway? Is he going to go for that forge expand and just wall the Nexus? It's a little bit hard to say right now.
Well, we will see here. You know, it's pretty cool when you look at it. Started out, if you guys played the beta, probably some of you did, there was a period where everybody was just 4-gating.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
That was pretty strong, huh? But then eventually, oh, no kidding. Okay, he's going to go for the gateway here. But then it switched into what StarCraft 1 was like, where you had a pylon on the low ground, and you made like a little wall in. And I remember in StarCraft 1, I don't know, because then you're playing a lot of Terran, not as much Protoss and Zerg, but when people started doing this thing where they made the pylon on the low ground and made a Nexus, everybody thought this was cheese.
Yeah.
Like, everybody's like, you can't actually do that. That's not supposed to work.
Yeah, I yelled at White Raw several times for that.
Yeah. Back, you know, I remember, like, eventually somebody's like, no, if you put the buildings in like, just the right spot, and you make just the right number of cannons, you can get away with this. And now it's so funny because that's actually the textbook way people play now, but it took like 5 years for people to figure this out. And now it's you know, not as, oh my God, okay, he's actually not going to go for an expand.
No,
all right, anyway, I was going to go on this little story about how now there's different variations of how to fast expand, but Squirtle is one-basing.
Yeah, he might go for an expand off this. We definitely can. We'll see if he actually gets another gas or not. That's going to tell us a lot. And I mean, I'm guessing right now he is going to go for an expansion off of this. And it is fine. You can do builds like this. In fact, his teammate here today, Seed, is a player who mixes this in a lot against Zerg, actually.
And you're right, he will go expand off this. Okay, so anyways, to what I was saying earlier, there's a whole bunch of different ways to get the fast expand up, but this was never how Protoss was played back in StarCraft 1 or early StarCraft 2. And eventually people just kind of solved this and said, well, if you just know exactly where to put each building and exactly how many probes to make, you can get away with this.
Yeah. And we see that Nerchio knows exactly what to do anyways against this. He's gotten his quick gas. Basically, when you see a gateway expansion like this, you just have to go for quick speed, just in case, because they can come out with like a 4 or a 5 gate rush after this Nexus so quickly that without speed, you will just die.
And so, you know, from here, what do you think? We're going to see Stargate or Robo?
I would be so surprised if we saw Stargate. I feel like, yeah, Robo could be a pretty good choice. You know, only really I've seen Seed go for a Stargate after a build like this, but he could definitely go into like a Twilight build as well.
2 more gates here, and this is what I was talking about, the perfect positioning to make this airtight.
And, you know, Nerchio actually hasn't scouted the expansion yet. So that's why he's making that spine crawler in his natural. And that's
too bad. That's a waste.
Yeah, it's definitely a waste. And, oh, I'll do a quick pause.
All right.
I was going to make sure that their settings are all correct.
You know, even chair height actually matters, you know, when you're playing StarCraft.
Oh, it certainly does.
So, you know, let's talk a little bit more about this. So we're probably going to, you know, the 3 gates are going to finish, then probably what, Robo? Get an observer out?
Could be Robo. Could go right into Twilight. You know, when you have those 3 gateways, sometimes you want to utilize your gateway units more heavily. It's hard to say. You know, this is a build that we don't see as often. And Squirtle, I don't know that I've seen him do a build like this at all against Zerg.
You know, Squirtle, he's pretty cutting edge when it comes to his openers. So we might see something new here. You know, it's too bad we have to have a pause here because sometimes that does mess with the player's tempo a little bit.
It definitely can.
You know, when you're playing StarCraft, I feel like a lot of novices just watch the clock.
Yeah.
But actually, if you play enough, you get to this point in time where
you just feel.
Yeah, it's more of like a feeling, and you got to map it out. So when you have like a hiccup like that, it could be frustrating. But of course, these guys have to have the perfect settings. You can't just sit down on a computer and boom, there you go. And it looks like we've unpaused, so.
Yep, and we are back in the game.
That's right, guys. Yes, let's get crazy. We're back in the game.
All right, so
Gateway's about to finish here, and link speed halfway done.
And, you know, he's finally scouted that this is, in fact, an expansion build. And look at that. He is actually going into a quick layer off of 1 gas and 2 bases.
So, you know, both these guys not playing
weird.
Orthodox.
No, this is weird stuff right now. Now, Nerchio can go into mutas or infestors here. And both can be pretty good depending upon especially what Squirtle techs to. You know, if you go into the mutas and you can actually get a good amount of them up, and your opponent's gone for like Robotech or something, to fight against mutas, you want 3 bases as Protoss. It's really hard to fight against them when you have just 2. So that could be the choice. Or, of course, infestors are just, well, you guys know, it's a good unit.
They're pretty good. They're pretty strong. So we'll see here. I do like it when we have 2 guys both doing stuff that's just not standard.
It gets really hard to predict, like, how will these 2 strategies match up against each other?
It's going to be pretty hard to cast, actually. I mean, we're generally casting, you know, kind of like in chess, there's just certain openers, like, okay, I'm going to open up with the Indian and, you know, move my pawns here and here and here, and you can kind of see the game panning out. But right now we're seeing 2 guys play with alternative openers, so we're going to be learning here with you guys.
All right, so it is Infestation Pit going down here for Nerchio. And we actually have, for Squirtle, the robotics. So he's going to go ahead and get some observers out. We'll see if he wants to do any sort of attack or he just wants to go into expand. By the way the build looks right now, I have to say I think he's just going to take a 3rd base and then do a 3 base timing.
Yeah, it looks like that's going to be the case here. And this is one of these games where it's you know, fairly tacit, but nobody really wants to engage each other. Like these links here, that's just him poking in and seeing, okay, what's over here? All right, I can confirm, you know, whatever suspicions I might have had before, and the game goes on.
Well, we still don't know for sure what Squirrel's going for, adding a bunch of gates at his front. A lot of lings coming out for Nerchio, realizing that he probably needs some extra units out in the map just in case. What? He just threw down Colossus Tech.
Oh.
Wasn't expecting that one, Tasteless, I have to admit.
Well, because of the, hold that thought. We got lings hitting some probes here.
Yeah, the probe's trying to block him from getting in the main base. That would be very annoying. There you go, some nice force fields. But some lings got some probes going down here. 8 killed already. That was pretty effective overall.
You know, that did a lot more damage than I expected.
Yeah.
He probably should have gone up the ramp and force fielded it from there, just to keep him safe.
All right, so right now, I mean, we do have 5 infestors that are going to pop out. Is Squirtle, I mean, he's not going to do a 2-base Colossus timing attack. Those basically don't exist anymore. All right, he is going for that 3rd. And, of course, Colossus Tech is going to be very nice against someone who's going for upgraded lings as well as infestors.
Okay, so a little bit of a delay there, but he will get the Nexus up. And as you can see, the observer's finally gotten over there. That's one of the weird things about this matchup for Protoss is if the Zerg does it right, Protoss doesn't really get to see what's actually going on until that observer gets there. There's really no easy route to scout.
Yeah, and you do have to react against what Zerg's doing,
sure.
Especially the hive timing. That's the biggest thing. And Spires can be tricky too. And in fact, a Spire is on the way. Probably just for Corruptors, though. I don't think Nerchio is going to switch into Mutas here.
Okay, he burnt a little bit too many force fields there, but he did deny the Zerglings from tearing down those rocks. We got +1 attack over here. And another thing to note, because it wasn't a forge opener, the upgrades for the Protoss are a little bit off compared to a normal game.
Yeah, oftentimes you'll see +2 a little bit quicker, but
sure.
He's still getting it with good speed here. And in fact, he's going up to a 3rd Colossus with that Thermal Lance, adding some more gateways as well as the gases as 3rd base. So yeah, I think this is just going to be a 3 base timing here. Will he get a 4th Colossus or will he go with 3?
You know, 3 is a pretty solid number. He could keep going for more, but I think he's probably going to want to get his Psy Storm out here and get that tech up. Blink is now on the way. And are we going to have an engagement? Okay,
no.
Denied.
It would be a kind of weird time, I feel, for Nerchio to actually attack in. You know, he's going up to his hive, he's getting his corruptors out, and he definitely doesn't want a real full-fledged battle without those corruptors to take down the Colossi.
Okay, so more Colossi coming up here. And let's talk about that. Now we're getting into late game, so this is where the map becomes kind of complicated. Okay, so if you look at the mini-map, there's 2 little bases. That one we got right there, and then one a little bit below that. That's the only really accessible base for Zerg now, but it's also in the middle of the map, and there's a high ground. So if Protoss can occupy the high ground, Zerg's screwed.
Yeah, I mean, if you can actually get up there and hold, it's very nice. Now, we just saw that Squirtle realizes that Hive Tech is on the way. He's thrown down his Stargate. He's definitely going to have to start moving out now. He is building a 4th Colossus, but I feel like he actually has to hit before then. Just warp in Stalkers nonstop and get this attack going with 3 Colossus.
Okay, so what Zerg wants to do is, if Protoss leaves, Zerg goes in counterattacks to try to pull the Protoss back in there. Let's see if it actually happens.
Yeah, I think Nerchio's definitely going to want to counterattack.
Ling's in position. Yeah, that's why sometimes if you want to hit the 4th base, you actually want to go in like a Z shape across the map so that they can't really go around you.
Well, right now a lot of posturing going on. That Greater Spire is coming closer and closer to being finished. And, you know, as he actually gets up to that tech, losing the 4th base won't matter as much because he'll have that slight tech advantage. So Squirtle has to get out and get some damage on.
Okay, so he's hitting it. Excuse me, and the Lings did not counterattack. I don't actually know what Nerchio's going to do, but...
There we go. He's waiting to see the Colossus up there, it looks like. But no, turns around. Being very careful with what he has here. Of course, if you throw any units away right now, you could lose the game because of it.
Kind of a bizarre move there for Nerchio. I mean, he made a 4th base. Squirtle asserted himself, killed it, and Nerchio's backed up now. So from here, what do we want to watch for? Well, it looks like we're going to have to wait and see if Nerchio gets a 4th base. If Nerchio can't get a 4th base, he's in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, and we have a lot of Broodlords morphing. Yeah, Nerchio's on that 3rd base, but, you know, if he keeps all his units alive, he can still definitely fight against a 3-base Protoss with that composition.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
He's getting carriers.
Man. Forget the mothership. Overrated.
Carriers, haven't seen one of these in a long time. The flying paperweights of StarCraft 2. You know, there's a reason why carriers aren't used. They were used in StarCraft 1, but there's different units and stuff.
Yeah.
They're generally not considered cost-effective at all.
Yeah, they're very strong. They have great range, but it's so expensive to keep those interceptors coming. And, yeah, there are a lot of supply, all that stuff. So, you know what? I'm actually, even though it's 3-base versus 3-base, and the tech of Squirtle is coming along nicely, I am kind of liking where Nerchio's at. He's got those 8 Infestors. He's about to have 14 Broodlords.
Here's what I think actually happened. I think he was going to go Mothership tech, killed the 4th, and because there's been so much taunts in this series, he's saying, all right, I'm going to make carriers now.
Could be. Well, we will see. Squirtle is taking a 4th base right now. That's good because he has such map control. He's playing against such a slow composition that he definitely can take that 4th and have a good chance of actually getting up, holding it, and mining from it.
There is only one Corruptor. So, the other thing about carriers, since this is the rare moment in my career I get to talk about carriers in StarCraft 2, they're only good when you get like a ton of them. It's not like there's no one carrier strategy where you're like there in micro and you got your one carrier floating over your army.
Don't tell him to see that.
I won't tell him to see that. But you know, if you get up to like let's say like 8, he's in trouble. Okay, Warp Prism harass.
Yeah, some nice harassment going down. Of course, his slow army going to have a hard time. He is hitting that 4th base of Squirtle. Definitely something that he's going to want to take out. The Broodlord's moving back ever so slowly. It looks like the 4th will end up falling here. Too bad for Squirtle. That would have been really powerful to have that 4th up now.
We're still on 1 Corruptor. Can you check on your PC? Does he have vision of the carriers or anything? He does not, right? He has no idea,
right? He has
right?
any idea right now about that. And yeah, he hasn't seen the Stargates at all.
Okay, so we got 4 carriers out and 3 more making. And that's close enough to 8 that I would say that if he gets that out and has the interceptors ready, not only is Nerchio going to be blindsided, but humiliated in this game as well.
Yeah, and in fact, a lot of Banelings are being made right now. So, you know, the Banelings are not what's really needed here. What he needs is more Infestors and more Corruptors. Of course, yeah, he doesn't know that quite yet, and Squirtle is going to surprise him, and it's not going to be the type of surprise that he likes.
Okay, so Broodlords are coming. These probes barely, well, some of them make it out. And I think Squirtle's going to retreat. Yep, he's going to wait for it. Broodlords cannot run away. Well, not quickly. So,
well, oh, this is going to be gross. He sees now that the carriers are out. Does he continue with this attack? It looks like yes, he does. And Nerchio going up towards his base.
All right, he will engage now. Nice force fields.
Yeah, excellent force fields going out. A lot of infested Terrans going down. How much anti-air does he really have? 9 more Corruptors are on the way. The ground army going to be eliminated pretty quickly here. But you know what? The ground army isn't what's important. It's these carriers.
And now we learned that infested Terrans are not good against carriers. DPS, pretty good on those. All right, the Banelings, if he gets the probes, that's something. And
oh! Great Banelings there by Nerchio. But Squirtle is going to eliminate a lot of these. Now, we do have a lot of Corruptors on the way, so he may be able to fight that off.
All right, we're in a high-speed carrier Broodlord chase. Well, I don't know, Artos. I never cast games with carriers or Corruptors that good against them. I guess I'm going to find out.
I mean, Corruptor Infestor does beat Carrier eventually, but he's been caught so off guard. I don't know that it's going to happen this time.
Okay. All right, he's going to kill the 4th. I think this game may be close to over. I think Squirtle, he teched very well, and then when he got ahead, just switched it up. And this is when you can do stuff like this. We can go for carriers.
Yeah. Well, he's got 10 right now, 3 more on the way. Just Corruptors, Queens, and Infestors for his opponent. We're actually going to have 18 Corruptors and 10 Queens fighting against this pretty soon.
Okay, so some links here to counter. And again, as I said early on, it's really all about whether or not Zerg gets to keep a 4th base. Protoss can stay on 3 bases longer than Zerg can.
And Nerchio is actually taking a couple bases right now, so we'll see if he can actually get those mining for a little bit. We do have a Templar Archives on the way. Sizestorm, definitely something you want to have with this. And Archons work very well as well against the clumped up Corruptors. But, you know, this is actually still anyone's game. Either player could still win this.
All right, so we got Infestors moving out. Squirtle is playing incredibly passively, and he probably should. Because, I mean, if you lose the carriers, I mean, you've lost so much of what you've invested in. And we got Nerchio going for the 4th base here.
Yeah, he definitely wants to eliminate this once again. We do have an army moving out from Squirtle. It looks like he wants to stop this. I don't know that he can, though.
Now, guys, remember, Squirtle could lose. I mean, carriers are not, they are not the right option here. But if he loses, that means it's 1 game away from Korea, you know, being down 3 games.
Yeah, and in which case the Team USA would win today.
That's right. Team Freedom would take this. So, you know, this is the thing is, okay, cool, they're trash talking, but what if he messes up? What if Korea loses, which is like unprecedented in history? That could be huge.
Yeah. All right, well, you know, he's actually switching into some Void Rays. Now, we've been actually seeing this a little bit more recently where players are mixing in Void Rays with those.
I don't know why people go for Void Rays still, though. I mean, you just fungal them, right?
Well, isn't that the answer to everything?
Pretty much. Pretty much.
All right, well, this is a lot of spines going down. Spores as well. That's a good choice. Nerchio is actually doing it just right now. If you just force this to go into the ultra super duper late game where you have all these colonies, the spore crawlers, the spine crawlers, a lot of infestors behind them, it becomes very hard for Protoss to break through. Another high-speed chase there.
This is the bravest zealot. Not the wisest.
That infestor got lucky. He was a coward.
Okay, so, you know, with him getting, Nerchio, getting the 4th base and now taking a 5th and a 6th at the upper right. I mean, honestly, I don't know if
this gets
Squirtle
broken.
just messed up.
Well, you know, his carriers even caught Nerchio off guard. I'm surprised he went for them like that, though. He still hasn't made a mothership, which is peculiar.
I know, right? I mean, you got the fleet beacon.
Yeah.
Well, here we go. We got the engagement. A lot of fungals going down here.
Really nice fungals going down. The carrier's doing a ton of damage, though, and the corruptors are falling like flies right now. Tasteless, just 7 left and 4 infestors with them. 11 carriers still on the field. And, uh-oh, the anti-air is almost gone. These carriers really starting to break through.
It looks like we got 11 carriers now, and okay, GG, and well played.
And the carriers are victorious, Tasteless. Squirtle's new quick 3-base carrier build. I'm loving it.
I can see noobs on forums right now in the forums, like, do you think carriers are now in the meta game? No, that was a sick humiliation strat, and I love it. We have had 3 games in a row where people are either making nexuses in the middle of the map, or hatcheries, or making carriers.
I kind of like the carrier switch. It was neat.
Well, you know what's funny is if you don't catch it, you just don't have the right composition.
No, that's very true.
The reason why carriers are not technically good is that it's really easy to not let anybody ever get carriers.
Well, I mean, and when they do, it is normally the Zerg just plays a super long game and ends up being able to stop it. But you know, I kind of liked it on the 3 bases, getting it so quickly, because it was a situation where his ground army was not going to break the Broodlord Infestor army with spine colors.
In that phase of the game, there is a lot of passivity.
Yeah.
Because, as we said before, it's like one guy's going to take the 4th base, the other guy's basically waiting. Which base do you take? And you know, I think Nerchio was playing conservatively enough that he didn't. You don't need to scout them generally at that phase of the game, because you know they're going to get Templars out, and you know they're going down this very standard textbook route. That you don't make that overseer at like 160 supply and check for carries. You don't do that because nobody does that. So it worked this time.
Yeah, it worked out very well. Well, our next match is one that, well,